and welcome. You're watching First Stick here on News 9, where we bring to you the morning buzz on the Lal Street. I am Suyash Maheshwari, and with me in the studio, as always, is Amit Ranjan. And it's a Monday morning, and we have an event-heavy week this time around. The fourth phase of polling starts today. 96 seats are going into elections. They'll see voting across 9 states and 1 union territory. Not to forget, the CPI print for India for the month of April also comes out today, and later this week we'll have US CPI as well. And also, remember, we are in the midst of the earnings season, the fourth quarter earnings season, and around 200 companies, including the likes of UPL, Varun Beverages, Bharti Airtel, Zomato, to name a few, will also report their Q4 report card. But a weak start to this week. Nifty has in fact fallen below 21,900 as we speak, breaking below last week's low of about 21,930. So perhaps the selling pressure has once again resumed, and the Friday's bounce was just that dead cat sort of a bounce, a pullback that could not fall through. Where do we go from here on? Only time will tell. But before we get into all that, we get into the nitty-gritties of our markets. Let's look at what we got in terms of the handover from global equities. Amit, over to you.
We are waiting thank you, Suyash. We are waiting for CPI numbers in India and the US, but those of China have come out. The consumer price index climbed 0.3% year on year, beating estimates, but the producer price index fell 2.5% year on year, more than the 2.3% that was estimated. It is green everywhere in the West. Dow Jones closed in the positive at 2.16% last week. S&P 500 1.65% in the positive. Nasdaq Composite 1.14% in the positive, in the green. Stock 600 closed at 0.77% in the green last week. Hang Seng this morning is up 0.39%. Forgive a Nikkei, which is slightly down at 0.19%. So green everywhere in the West. Forgive a Nikkei.
All right, and the Wall Street, as far as Dow Jones is concerned, it witnessed one of its best week last week in 2024, and in comparison, Indian markets witnessed one of its worst week in 2024. So clearly, we were talking about decoupling happening, in India versus the rest of the world, and that clearly seems to be the case because, the market elsewhere are doing really well, global equities, and the overall cues have been also rather strong. If you look at the 10-year yield, it's back at around 4.5%, pretty much exactly where we left at on Friday. The dollar index is hovering around that 105 mark, but it's closer to 105 than it was to 106. And Brent crude, not major movement over there as well. So pretty much all in all, the setup from a global perspective looks rather healthy. But again, the problems that we are facing are local. Remember, we are in the midst of the election season, and 283 seats have already gone for voting. 96 seats across, 9 states and 1 union territory will be voting today. And I think, Amit, one of the reasons why the market has been jittery is because of the low voter turnout, in multiple states. And that is not, bad. It is kind of bad for the incumbent government and the government that is expected to, come this time around as well. So low voter turnout, I think that is adding to some bit of jitteriness in the market. But again, the question remains, where do we go from here on? Remember, we have this morning broken below the low of last week. So the selling pressure has resumed once again. So the question is, where will Nifty find support? And for that, let's bring on board Avni Bhatt of JM Financial. Avni, thank you for giving us time here on News 9. I want to begin by asking you the big question that I think is on everyone's mind. Where do we go from here? Nifty has once again resumed its downward journey. We have broken below the low of last week, currently below 21,900. Where do we go from here on?
Good morning, Suyash and Amit, and a very good morning to all the viewers as well. So today morning, the opening is looking pretty weak and not a very encouraging sign. But my sense is that this week is probably the last week of the weakness that we are looking in Nifty. And I think capitulation should start by probably next week. The levels to keep in mind are 21,700 on the downside, the earlier support of 930 to 950 area, is already broken today, which was last week's low. So we are looking at the next support level of 21,700, which is a very, very crucial support level, because 21,778 and 21,700 were the previous swing lows. So if these levels are broken, then you can say that there is going to be a lot of selling pressure going ahead up to around 21,400. But I think this support level should hold. On the upside, the earlier support levels will now become resistances. So 22,200 to 300 area is where the resistance is going to be. So I think any fresh longs should be done only about 22,300. We can say that Nifty is out of woods only about 22,300. And similarly for Bank Nifty, the immediate support level is 47,200, which I think today morning it has broken. Now, if it closes also below 47,200, then on the downside, 47,000 is just a psychological round figure support level, but the actual support is only at around 46,600. So looking at the overall setup, I think Bank Nifty is weaker. Week on week basis, we've seen short addition in Bank Nifty, and overall structure for Bank Nifty will be, you can say that Bank Nifty will be out of woods only above 48,000, which is, as of now, it is a far-fetched level. So I think it's a no trading zone currently. If at all the supports are broken, 47,200 on Bank Nifty on closing basis, or intraday move below 47,000. And for Nifty, 21,700. These are the two support levels that you need to keep in mind. If these supports are broken, then we are heading for further weakness. Otherwise, more or less, I think these supports should hold. The indices should consolidate, will be very highly volatile. And even if there is an up move in the coming few days, I think India VIX is going to touch around 22 to 24% level. So that is one point one has to keep in mind. It's the election time. India VIX is going to play a major role going ahead.
Good morning, Avni. There's something about Kotak Mahindra Bank I would like to talk to you about. Now, in the month of April, for the viewers, mutual funds purchased as many as 81,000 crores worth of shares of Kotak Mahindra Bank. This after the RBI ban, which barred Kotak Mahindra from onboarding new customers via its online applications and mobile banking. The share prices, the collective share prices of value of the shares has risen to 53,186 crores, up from 41,863 crores. Value has gone up. Mutual funds are purchasing shares, but the stock has been going down. Whether if we look at the last 1 month, it has been down over 9%. Last 6 months, down over 6%. Last 1 year, it has been in the negative 17.36%. Slightly up today. What do you make of Kotak Mahindra Bank, Avni? That's my first question.
Amit, as I look at the structure and the build-up that has happened in last 1 week, in last week we've seen a short covering of around 15% in Kotak Bank. Yes, the prices are not showing that much, but the good part is that the shorting has stopped. There has been short covering of 15%. And on Friday, we also saw some long unwinding of around 2%. So you can say that week on week basis, shorting has stopped, but at higher levels, there is long unwinding happening. So it is struggling to cross the short-term moving averages of around 1665 to 1675 levels. And but on the downside, in the options positioning also, there's a lot of unwinding seen in the puts across strikes from 1650 to 1600. So I think around 1650 levels, we'll be seeing some profit booking that can bring down the bank close to 1600 again. But more or less, it should remain in this range. On the long side, if one has to trade on the long side, I think one should wait for 1675 level to be crossed.
All right, another stock that we are focusing on this morning is Tata Motors. Now, the stock has taken a beating this morning. It's down about 8%. I mean, the results came out post the market hours on Friday, and the results, looked good. The auto major did report the highest ever revenues, profits and free cash flow. Its India business even went, is now debt free in financial year 25. I think what's disappointing the street, Avni, is what the management had to say. I mean, they sound cautious. They are expect, the first half of the year of financial year 25 to remain weak, and they also expect flat margins in FY25 for JLR. Again, the stock is down close to about 8% or so. It has recovered slightly from intraday lows, but considering the kind of run-up we have seen in stock prices, do you expect this Tata Motors to remain under pressure for maybe the next couple of sessions? If so, what are the support levels that you will be tracking, ma'am?
So yes, Tata Motors last week had seen some good movement. In fact, week on week basis, if you see, it has seen a long addition of around 5%. But after the guidance given by the management, today the stock has come under pressure. So if you look at the levels, I think 50-day moving average on the daily charts is somewhere around 970 to 75 area. If it manages to hold on to 970 level today, I think in the next coming few days, it should consolidate in this range. And we're not looking at any major upside immediately because the news flow is pretty negative. But if at all it manages to close below 970, then the stock is heading towards 935 on the downside.
Okay, Avni, before we let you go, what are your picks for our investors today?
So, Amit, the picks that I've selected for this particular week, so I've looked at the open interest built up in last 1 week that has happened. My first pick would be HAL. So HAL has seen futures, in futures it has seen a long addition of 1%, and in spite of all the correction that has happened in the broader markets last week, this stock has formed a base at around 3800 with a lot of addition at 3800 put. So close to 3800, 3830 levels, it's a good buy for a target of 4045, and 4150 will be a positional target. The stop loss can be kept at 3670. The second stock is Havells. So Havells also week on week basis, we've seen a short covering of 13%, while on Friday we saw some long addition of around 4%. Now last entire week, if you see the price movement, it has consolidated without much movement, taking support at around 1650, which was not broken at all. And we're looking at anticipating a breakout above 1700. Once that happens, I think the stock should move up to around 1770. So 1670 to 1680 is the area where one can accumulate the stock for a target of 1770, keeping a stop loss of 1630. And the third stock would be from the auto space, though auto stocks have opened negative, I think because of the news in Tata Motors. But Maruti is a good bet from current levels. It has seen a short covering of 3% on Friday, and it closed also above all the short-term moving averages. So any dip close to 12,500 to 550 area is a good buy for this stock. The target on the upside would be 12,980 and 13,100. These will be the two targets for the stock, and stop loss can be kept at 12,240.
All right, those are the top 3 picks from Avni Bhatt for the short term. Maruti Suzuki, HAL and Havells are on her radar. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us time here on News 9. Always a pleasure speaking with you. But with that, it's time to take a short break. On the other side, Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, joins us.
Film and entertainment is definitely one of the levers for any country to build its brand.
We are getting global. I feel that we're just on the takeoff.
More and more films are becoming language agnostic.
Content is a universal language.
There's one audience in the world.
Absolutely. End of the day, we all are like brothers who have mutual respect for each other from a different land.
Watch Allu Arjun on Duologues with Barundas. Streaming on News 9 Plus.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience. 20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
That ink is a semi-permanent dye called the indelible ink.
We are the sole manufacturer of this indelible ink.
Don't try to repair something which is working.
And if you have facial recognition, you can go vote in any booth anywhere based on where you are, and then it will be recorded that you can't vote anywhere else again.
Can we retire indelible ink and use biometrics? Theoretically, my answer would be yes.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Film and entertainment is definitely one of the levers for any country to build its brand.
We are getting global. I feel that we're just on the takeoff.
More and more films are becoming language agnostic.
Content is a universal language.
There's one audience in the world.
Absolutely. End of the day, we all are like brothers who have mutual respect for each other from a different land.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. You're watching First Take here on News 9, and the stock markets, they are on a free fall this morning. Nifty has broken below last week's low. It's below 21,900. In fact, this morning we are very close to its intraday low, and the 30 share Sensex is also on a free fall. The index is close to 72,000, is just holding above it. Nifty Bank, on the other hand, is on a 9-day losing run. It's one of its worst weekly falls. At least it's coming off one of its worst weekly falls in the last 3-4 months, and again the index has declined close to about 3,000 points in this correction. Nifty Bank is down about 0.8% actually, and it's really close to that 47,000 mark. But again, the overall setup, it's heavily leaning in the favor of the bears. I mean, look at the market breadth currently. The advanced decline ratio currently sits at about 1:5, meaning one stock is rising for every 5 that is falling. Of course, the big laggards today are auto stocks, and it is led by Tata Motors. Tata Motors stock is down about 8%. Remember, the results came out post market hours on Friday, and the numbers, at least the first print, did look good. Highest ever revenues in FY24, highest ever profit. India business is debt free, but the management commentary has been cautious, and I think that is what has disappointed the street. And if you think about it, that has what's been the case this time around. Even if the numbers are disappointing, if the management commentary is good, the street will kind of celebrate that, and the stock prices will run up. On the contrary, if the results are okay but the management commentary is weak, you will see a big crash coming in stock prices, and that's what we are witnessing Tata Motors this morning. But with that, let's also bring on board Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services. Gaurang, thank you for giving us time here on News 9. It's an event-heavy week. We have, the voting for the 4th phase of Lok Sabha elections today. 96 seats across 10 states and UTs go to vote. India's CPI print for the month of April also comes out. US CPI is on Monday, and not to forget the 4th quarter earnings season. 200 companies will report their earnings this week, including the likes of Inox India, Varun Beverages, Zomato, Bharti Airtel, to name a few. What are you focusing on this week, in this event-heavy week, sir?
Well, lots to look at, Suyash, this week. Thank you for having me on the show, and morning to all of you. I guess election is going to be on top of the priority of all these events which are lined up this week. And even the election is going to be in the spotlight for this entire month and first 3 days of June. My sense is that, and we discussed the markets even last week and the week before. And what we have advised short-term, medium-term investor is to try and take the money off the table in case if you are getting whatever positions you build up short to medium term. If you don't want to face the uncertainty that the market is throwing at us since the beginning of this month and a little bit before that, then just stay out of the market for the rest of the month. Come back on 5th of June. Maybe and on 5th of June, you might be able to buy the markets at a little bit elevated level, depending upon what the election result has to tell us. Earnings season unfolding. Thankfully, there is no dark spots or red flags over there, more or less in line. And the global news flow, as far as Middle East situation is concerned, is a little bit quiet. Thank God for that. Other data points that you mentioned will possibly, have an impact on the market depending upon which side the data points are. But more so, I think the news flow on the election, and more importantly, Suyash, last week we did see a lot of unsolicited universal universities of WhatsApp, X, Y, Z, Twitter, the kind of rumors that were doing the round had actually spooked the market. Then we saw a pullback on Friday, and again we saw a let off this morning. So my sense is that this is going to be even much more higher in terms of volatility as we go closer to the FNO monthly expiry, as we go closer to the 1st of Jan, then exit polls, and then eventually the result of the election. So if you don't want this unpleasantness and if you don't want to damage your capital, sometimes it is always advisable and wisdom prevails if you don't do anything in the markets for the next about 25 odd days.
Gaurang, you make it sound like, the market could perhaps, witness some more correction from here on because, give or take, Nifty has corrected by 900 points in this correction. I mean, the old market adage has clearly worked, sell in May and go away. But do you expect the market to correct further as we get closer to the election results?
So, Suyash, we did mention, right? Like I mentioned, last week Monday, we were on this very show. Even the Monday before that is a fortnight back. So what we've been saying is right from those times when we saw those levels of 22,796, which is supposed to be the all-time high on the Nifty spot, which we saw a week before Friday, that was 2 weeks back. So since the market has corrected so much, Suyash, maybe the downward move can be expected to be a little bit limited. But my worry is VIX at 20 plus. Now, this is something that one needs to have in mind absolutely clearly. And unless and until you see this VIX settling down to sub 15, closer to 12, your markets are not going to get stabilized. And any pullback will be witnessed with selling pressure. And that pressure after a pullback in terms of selling would be much, much severe. So, volatility in the sense that from current levels, your downside is protected. But once the market recovers, intraday volatility or overnight volatility is something that you need to watch out for.
All right, and so you rightly pointed out, I mean, the volatility is high in the market. Look at India VIX, I mean, we have witnessed a 100% jump over there from 52-week low of about 9 to 10 levels. India VIX is actually above 21 levels, and we have not witnessed these levels in nearly almost 2 years actually. October of 2022 was when India VIX was above 21 levels, so perhaps some caution would be advisable in this market. But again, I mean, at a time like this when the markets are falling, the investors would try to find some pockets of opportunity. Anything that is looking attractive to you, because just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about a little valuation discomfort. Anything in this correction that is looking attractive, sir?
Oh, I love the bears because they are the ones who give me the investment opportunities, Suyash. So, and if you are, and what I was referring to earlier is stay away from the market is purely to all those short to medium term investors. And history witness, Suyash, there are many instances where short term traders, medium term traders become investor because they are not in the habit of booking their losses. So compulsion investor is something that you should avoid, if you want to be. So yes, for an investor, I think this is a great market. Sectorially speaking, banking, both private, public, strong NBFCs, autos, cement, hospitality, and FMCG. These would be the priority top 5 odd sectors, starting with the large cap in these 5 sectors, and then possibly pushing pushing yourself down to selective mid cap. Small cap is absolutely no unless you know what you're doing. Please stay away from it. Don't put all your money at one time. Be a staggered, disciplined investor. Markets will give you plenty of opportunities for the next 20-25 odd days, Suyash, and that will give you good portfolio building exercises. So I am extremely, and including defense, power, infrastructure. So altogether you have 7 to 8 sectors. Try to understand before parking your money into these sectors when you decide to pick a particular company, and then gradually, slowly increase your investments. So this is the way to do this particular market. I will once again repeat: if you are a trader, short to medium term, try to take money off the table and go for a vacation, like you said. Sell in May and go away. Though I am of a different opinion, because I just mentioned that I love the markets when they come down, because the markets give me stocks, investment stocks at a discount.
All right, that's the word coming in from Gaurang Shah. So please stay with us. We have plenty more to discuss with you on the other side. But before we slip into a break, in an exclusive conversation with News 9 Deputy Managing Editor Kartikeya Sharma, BJD leader and the man behind Odisha's 5T initiative, VK Pandian, shares his thoughts on an emotionally charged campaign challenging Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan to resign active politics if either of parties fail to form the state government in June.
This election you have been campaigning very emotionally. You recently made a statement saying that you'll take sannyas. Why?
I said that in case I made an open challenge to Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, the Union Minister, because he has been telling that there is a hawa in favor of BJP. They are spreading lies that they are having a hawa in favor of BJP. So I said that, okay, if you have a hawa, then you should be forming government. I am saying there is a Navin hawa in the air. People are very fond of Navin Babu and they are going to give him a huge majority, 3/4 majority. So I make a challenge with you that Navin Babu is going to get 3/4 majority and he will swear in on 9th June from 11:30 to 1 p.m. So this is my statement. And if this won't happen, I'll resign from politics. You are saying that you are coming back to, you are getting into government. So will you accept my challenge? I will quit if Navin Babu won't become CM. Will you do the same thing if BJP won't go to power? That is my statement.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
I try and convert almost everything in a kind of a mathematical formula.
You should always stretch more than you can reach.
Listening is very important.
Because if you don't listen, how would you know what the problem is?
Everybody who's working in and around me, their personal well-being is also responsibility that I carry.
Great leaders have shared vision.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. You're watching First Stick here on News 9, and let's look at what the market is doing, because Nifty, as we spoke earlier in the show, has slipped below last week's low. It has moved below 21,900, and we are currently hovering somewhere around the 21,850 mark. Now the intraday low for today is 21,828, so the index is finding some bit of a support at around 21,800 odd levels, but I think the big support for the market could come in somewhere around the 21,700 to 777 levels. Remember, 21,777 was April's low, and from there on Nifty was able to stage a 1,000 point rally and get to a fresh record high of 22,794. So 21,777 will be the first perhaps support that I'll be looking for. Below that, 21,710, which is March low for the index, could come into play perhaps. But again, Nifty is trading below its last week's low, so perhaps selling pressure has once again resumed. Sensex is just at that 72,000 mark. It has also slipped over 3,000 points in this 5-6 day correction, and the mid cap and the small cap indices, the broader markets in general, they are underperforming. Both indices are down 1.5 to 2%, and that has severely hurt the overall breadth of the market. The advanced decline ratio is currently as 1 to 5, meaning one stock is rising for every 5 that's falling. And also let's look at India VIX. I mean, we are seeing a 15% jump in India VIX today. It's above 21 levels as we speak, and just a couple of weeks back India VIX was around the 9-10 odd levels. From there on, it has pretty much seen a 100% jump from 52-week low of 9-10 odd mark to about 21 levels now. I mean, we are in the election season, and that is perhaps adding to this jitteriness or volatility in the market. But remember, it's not just the election. We are also in the midst of the earnings season, and 200 companies will report their Q4 report card this week, including the likes of UPL, Jindal, Steel, Varun Beverages, Zomato, Bharti Airtel, to name a few. Amit, I'll come to you. We have a big one today, Zomato. What are the expectations from the street for Q4 for Zomato?
Zomato is a unique one. Last year at this time, their Q4 result posted a loss of 204 crores. This time they are expected to post a profit of 249 crores. So that is the kind of jump. The revenues year on year are expected to jump 71% to 3,513. The food delivery gross order value too is expected to jump over 30%. So those are the expectations we have from Zomato. Big jump. The stock has done given returns of over 215% over the last 1 year. That's the kind of jump the stock has returns the stock has given to its investors over the last 1 year. Slightly down today, but those are the returns.
All right, and Gaurang, I'll come to you. Any expectations from Zomato this time around? Again, the stock has been a multi-bagger. It's just the only player in this space. We are hearing rumors of perhaps Swiggy coming into play as well. But what's the call on Zomato? And I mean, a stock that could potentially, go another 50-20% from here on, or is the upside after that tremendous run capped?
So standard disclosure, Suyash, we had a subscribe recommendation for the IPO of Zomato a couple of years back. I think it was at about 76 odd rupees. Correct me if I'm wrong, if my memory serves me right. After the listing, stock went up to I think about 140, 150 odd levels, and then there was a downfall because of the disappointment on earnings and downgrading of the stock. Stock slipped below the IPO price, if I'm not mistaken. At that time, when it slipped below the IPO price around about 50 odd rupees, we came out with a fundamental buy report, which we are currently maintaining a buy report on Zomato. That's the standard disclosure. What I would want to look forward is, okay, these orders, as a disclosure again, I am a gold member of Zomato, so my contribution to the bottom line is also there on a lighter note. But more than the food delivery platform, I would be interested to look at the numbers from the Blinkit platform, which is the household provisioning, etc., etc., etc. Because over there you get charged the handling fee also and platform fee also, and sometimes even delivery fee. So put all together, I think the contribution from Blinkit is going to be much, much better and supportive to the balance sheet over the next couple of quarters. And I wouldn't be surprised if Swiggy would be on a fast track to come out with an IPO looking at Zomato's performance.
All right, that's a word coming in on Zomato from Gaurang Shah, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. All the best.
But before we wrap things up, Indegene has made a stellar debut on the bourses, listing at a premium of 45% at 655 rupees per share over the IPO price of about 452. The debut gains, the listing gains, however, is below what the street was expecting. The grey market premium suggested the listing could come, with a premium of about 70% or so. But then again, a stellar listing for Indegene, listing at a premium of 45% over the IPO price of 452. So good numbers coming in from Indegene, and I think it's a bright spot in a market that is correcting, the market that has been on a free fall in the past 5-6 sessions. So Indegene has made a stellar debut, and on that note we'll wrap up this show. We'll see you at 4 p.m. on Last Tick, but coming up next is World Business Report.
Do you feel that the constitution or democracy is in danger?
No, I would not say that. Not at all. Not at all. Indian constitution and Indian democracy is what should I say? It's so strong. I don't think anybody on earth or anybody in the political system will dare to touch the constitution, or will have the wherewithals to amend the constitution's basic features. And we have a judiciary also. You can't touch the basic features of the constitution. This constitution debate is also diverting the core issues of people. How many people in our villages are thinking about whether constitution is getting changed or not?
Donald Trump is the first American president, current or former, to be criminally charged. So, all eyes on the American Supreme Court. So the question is, what are the biggest charges against Trump and how will they affect his bid for the White House? News 9 Plus decodes. Prosecutors say Trump tried to influence the 2016 presidential elections. They say hush money payments were made to adult film star Stormy Daniels, which were part of the attempts to hide damaging information about Trump. He has also been accused of falsifying business records. A catch and kill scheme dominated the trial. Prosecutors say that this scheme controlled the public narrative about him ahead of the 2016 polls. This scheme had 3 steps. The first,